having a vision that is so strong for your life that no matter how many times you do fail, that you keep getting up, keep believing in yourself, keep believing in the vision of what you're creating, and just saying, I haven't figured it out yet, instead of it doesn't work.
On today's jam-packed episode, we have Alecia St. Germain. Her family's been investing in real estate since the 1990s, and she has trained over 10,000 real estate entrepreneurs. What we discuss on today's episode is all about leadership and what skills you need to take your business to the next level.
And it doesn't really matter if you don't have a team yet. Developing your leadership skills will contribute for you to grow your business, your portfolio, and yourself.
Welcome back, ladies. This is Liz.
And this is Andressa.
Welcome back to the Real Estate InvestHER Show. Heard it once said, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And we are back because we stand for women taking control of their financial freedom today. And that's why we take a holistic approach to not just real estate investing, but business and self-care. And that's why I'm so excited to have Alecia St. Germain on our show today. We're going to be talking about leadership. We're going to talk about business and how women can grow authentically. So thank you for being on the show. Thank you for everything you do for our community, our Strive mentorship program, and just being you. So thank you.
It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
So you have trained over 10,000 real estate entrepreneurs, which is just an incredible number. And you've seen a lot of commonalities amongst the ones that rise to the top as leaders. So what differentiates a successful leader from someone who's not?
Okay, so top things I would say is, number one, they have a really healthy relationship with failure and they don't attach it to what they're making it mean about themselves. So it's really part of the process and the journey of learning. The second thing is they know what they know. So they have what I call humility. A lot of times women were taught to be humble. And I used to think it was all about being humble, which means being small. And what I really realized is that it's about humility. It's knowing what you know and appreciating the value that you bring, but also understanding that you have things to learn from other people and that you're not better than other people. So it's a sense of humility and willingness to learn from others, I think, is a big one that stands out in my head. And then the third thing is resilience. It kind of goes with that healthy relationship with failure, but like having a vision that is so strong for your life that no matter how many times you do fail, that you keep getting up, keep believing in yourself, keep believing in the vision of what you're creating, and just saying, I haven't figured it out yet, instead of it doesn't work.
No one just is going to beat me to the punch. There's so much to unpack there, right, Andressa?
Where should we take it?
I know.
I heard this another day, and I think that is the completely true. This person said, real estate has nothing to do about houses. Real estate is a mindset game, and all the 3 points that you just made, our thoughts can go one way or another. So the mindset of a successful investor, how he or she or they approach what happens, it's what is going to make a difference. I was, this concept about taking responsibility, right? Because when people say, oh, this contractor move away and stole my whatever, and I lost X amount of dollars, I don't trust people, yada, yada, yada. And then when we ask them, okay, what part you want to take responsibility for? And then people hear, are you saying that was my fault, that this person stole from me? When we say take responsibility, if you look at the word responsibility, there is the word response. So think about it. When we are asking all of you that are listening, what part you take responsibility for, we are asking how you're going to respond to what is happening. And I think that that's a summary of what you just said, Alecia, because the way people respond to whatever is the situation is going to determine their success. But here's the kicker. Our brain is like a money machine. That would be great, huh? Like, it's like a machine that makes meaning of things. We make meaning of things and make stories of things. What would you say is a way, or is the secret to get out of our own head and then be that way?
Yeah. Oh, I love this question because one of the things I wrote down that I wanted to talk today about is like this concept of being a victim versus being responsible, just like what you're talking about. And so if you shift from thinking about things happening to you to either circumstances, like it's a neutral circumstance, this is something that happened, and now how am I going to respond to this? Or even going further, how is this happening for me? Like if you started looking at everything that's happening around you as there to teach you and mold you and help you learn to become the person who's capable of holding your vision, who's capable of creating it, like what would you find instead of how is it that this is happening to me? And I think that's a really big distinction. That's
incredible, right? Like just that thought in and of itself, because, and I feel like that's the first conversation I had with you, Alecia, when we met was like, hold on. Let me break this down. So shifting from happening to me to responding with choice mindfully is really what you're saying. By doing that, what is the result? What's the result of that? Like, and I'd love to get an example because you've worked with so many of our Strive mentees, and you've seen firsthand, and same with me and Andressa, the shift, right? I'd love to get specific though. Why is that shift so important? First off,
so here's one of the really fascinating things that there was a woman who had been struggling to buy her first properties for quite some time, and then she had done a lot of inner work to really dig down into why she was struggling. And it really came down to, she believed that without putting a lot of pressure on herself, she wouldn't create a certain result. And so she ended up having two opportunities to buy properties. And one was very stressful and did not work out well for her. And the other one was very easy and progressing rather well. And so we compared the two, right? The one that was really difficult for her. And what we found is that, and I always find that you're always given opportunities to really learn what you need to learn and to create that breakthrough. And sometimes it has to happen in a way that's a little painful. Like you're going to keep getting the lesson and it's going to keep getting bigger and it's going to keep getting more painful until you get it. And so when we compare the two, what she realized is she was really attached to what was happening with one property. Like she had a story that like, it takes me a long time to trust people. So she waited a long time before she did business with this person. And then she had a relationship with them. And then she was, just really wanting this deal to work out. So there was a lot of pressure around it. And then the other deal was like, okay, it has to be these numbers. I'm not budging on it. I have to find contractors who do it for this price, like all the things. She's like, and if it doesn't fit my criteria, I'm not doing it. And it wasn't even someone she knew. She didn't even buy it from someone she had known for a long time. She's like, I just got a really good feel for it. So she was trusting herself first, right? And so what she found was like, when she realized, number one, this deal that happened that didn't go well for her was really there to show her evidence that when I put pressure on myself and when I believe that it takes me a long time to trust people, and when all of these, when I control everything in a way that pushes it, it doesn't necessarily work out better for me. And so it gave her evidence that, maybe there's possibly a different way that I can think about things. So when I say everything's happening for you, it's like unpacking how that deal that didn't go well for you actually made you smarter, made you stronger, helped you go to the next level in how you see yourself and what's possible for you.
I want to just clarify one thing here, because we have been saying the word story, and I want to make sure that everybody that is listening here, we're speaking the same language. So when we say story, we're not saying something that you just made it up, like a fairy tale or anything. Your story is your version, your perspective of what happened. And in fact, the truth have so many different ways, right? So we have many stories about one single event. And one of the stories that many people believe, right, is that leadership, I am not a leader until I have a team of people under my belt. And they believe that. And many of them say, actually, I am not a good leader. Even if I don't have a team, I'm not going to, I don't know. I'm not good at managing people, because they believe that is babysitting. I don't have the patience. I don't have the skill set as a quote unquote justification for them to continue being solopreneurs and doing everything themselves. So I want to tackle that right now. When people think about leadership, why they should, quote unquote, take in consideration learning leadership skills, even if they don't have a single person on their team?
Such a good question. So I think the confusion comes from corporate, right? A majority of people are trained in life to go to work, get a good job, work for the rest of your life, that old mindset. And when I think of leadership, and I don't know that this is the first thing people think about is, it's not something you do. It's a way of being. It's how you lead yourself and manage your mind, how you lead your vision, how you lead your children, how you lead your business. It's a way of being, and it starts from the inside in you, and it bleeds out from there. So we talk about people being a mirror for what's inside you. So if your perception, we talked about stories being a perception, if your perception is that, everybody's, it never works out for me, everybody's out to get me, or, like a contractor always, lets me down, or I've tried to hire people before and, that I can't find good people. The question is, who are you being that is attracting that type of person to you? That's leadership.
That's very powerful, right? Because we do in training in corporate, it's a title. It's used as a title. You're a leader, and that's just what you are versus who you're being. So starting with leading yourself, and you have women listening, right? They want to grow. They want to expand their portfolios, and they're like, hold on, I don't even care about being a leader. I just want to, I want to add more doors to my portfolio. Talk to me about how, in order for me to grow my portfolio, why is it so important that I need to unpack leading myself? And what does that look like?
Here's a prime example. We will block more doors coming to people, will block more doors coming to them unconsciously, not even knowing it, if there is something about your capacity to take on more, right? Like, my plate is already so full. And unconsciously, your brain knows, like, hey, if we take on more, then it's going to sacrifice more of our values. So there's a self-protection piece that comes up. And so it's really diving in and looking at the places that you get triggered, the places that you get scared. It's owning and having compassion. I think that's a really big word that needs to be brought up here, is having compassion for yourself, your shadow self, like the sides of you that maybe you're not the most proud of, the sides of you that, they exist oftentimes out of self-protection at a point in your life. And there's a point where they no longer serve you. So, you can have shame about it. You can hide from it. You can tell yourself, I'm not a good leader, or I don't want to manage people, right? You're putting that outside of you, like, oh, but I don't want to deal with people's stuff. But the truth is, whatever your trigger is or whatever your fears are, that's the way through. And you'll block more coming in because you don't have the capacity.
For all of you that are like me, you're like, I want to snap out of whatever it is that is holding me back that I'm not even conscious about. My question to you, Alecia, is it possible to do this inner work on our own? And what are the pros and cons of having people surrounding myself with other people? Because I might not even know what it is, this thing that is holding me back. I might not even be aware that I am saying things, being things, and that is how people perceive me, as this person that is doing X, Y, and Z. But that's not how I see it. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So right. You come from a community, like investor, it's a community of doers. Like, we're just going to do. We're going to, I'm going to follow the strategy. I'm going to do the thing, and I'm going to have the success magically. And we know it takes more than that, but that's what we're taught, is just do the thing. What happens is we skip over journaling, meditation, some of the things that seem fluffy, because having to sit still is so uncomfortable for some people. A lot of people that I talk to and have coached, it's uncomfortable because it feels like laziness. It feels like you're not accomplishing something, but really taking the time to tend to where it shows up in your body. So it could be in your stomach, in your heart, in your shoulders. Noticing the tensions and the discomfort in your body is first, because the body knows. And then really being reflective, whether that looks like journaling or thinking. I come up with my best breakthroughs in the shower. For a lot of people, it could be driving. I do think there's value in doing certain things yourself, because that's where the reflection happens. However, in the Strive community, like, one of the things that I coach them to do in your community is they have accountability groups. And so they come up with how they want to show up as a leader, who they want to be, what they want to see reflected in their reality. And then they're taught how to give each other feedback, because we all have blind spots and we don't always know when we're in our stuff that we're in our stuff. So teaching people how to receive feedback and how to give feedback, I think, is really the value in having it more structured in a community where we're creating a culture, we're creating a way of helping each other and supporting each other. And then the next level, right, is working with someone who's a coach or skilled in it, and they can even ask the right questions and go to the next level with you. And even like the feedback from my client was, with the two houses, was, I never even looked at comparing the two until you had that conversation with me. So there's lots of levels that you can go to. And I think they're all necessary, to be honest. I mean, that's what I live and breathe, right?
It's and.
Yeah.
Alecia, so first step, because, the woman listening, okay, I get this, I get the value of it, but they like the steps, right? They like the kind of specifics. So being aware of what's happening in your body, where are you finding tension, right? Where are you getting kind of triggered? And another way to trigger is where you're getting frustrated, right? I mean, that's another fair way or simpler way to say that. Where is it showing up for you? Getting reflective. Walk me through then the next step around the getting of feedback. What does that look like? What would you suggest to a woman listening and saying, yeah, I'd love to get some feedback from who, when, how?
That's a lie. That's a lie. Don't you guys think it's a freaking lie? Yeah, I want to give feedback. Give me feedback on the stuff that I suck at, right?
Not feedback.
No, only
all
good
the bad
feedback.
things.
Not the bad ones.
So here's I will remember the first time when I really started to dive into getting feedback myself and understanding the value of it and all the things I made, it mean about myself. I did an exercise where I went to my husband and I just asked them, like, where do you think that I get in my way? And what do you think I could do better? What would you change? And my job was I could only listen. I could only listen. I wasn't allowed to respond. I wasn't allowed to defend. And he was so uncomfortable because he was like, number one, why are you not responding? And I told him ahead of time, like, I can't respond. And then I felt horrible. Like, it felt so crappy to get the feedback. And he was like talking about how, like, I would like to be in control of everything. And like, he doesn't do certain things because and I'm thinking, I don't know that that's true for me. Right. So I had to go take a shower and then I cried. So my point is, stepwise is get the feedback, but be committed to not responding to it immediately. And then you are going to have an emotional reaction first. Emotions are only designed to stay in your body for 90 seconds. So then they have to be reaffirmed by a thought. And so I either have a reaffirming thought or I have a cycle breaking thought. And so
wait, what is a cycle breaking thought?
So it's choosing something different, like the lesson, moving from I'm a victim of getting this feedback. Who are they to, being defensive, or how is it that this person is having this experience of me? How is it that they are seeing me? How can I see it through their eyes? And so it's really unpacking when you're getting feedback is, okay, how is this true for this person?
Question about feedback. Do you think that without asking, we're getting feedback every day, right? Because what we put out there, that's what we get. We get feedback from our neighbors, from our dog, from our kids, from our business partners, from the universe. We get feedback at all times. I think the key is like how aware are we from the feedback? And I think that many women are on the go at all times. And they are not having scheduling time to quiet their mind and observe. Because the feedback, it is super valuable. And I think it's like refeeding it to you. Okay, it's working, continue. Or it's not working. I am showing the red flags and you're still continuing it. It's going to come harder and harder. Until you're like, whoa, what just happened? I didn't see that. Yeah, honey, you didn't see it because it didn't stop, because that was not the first time that showed up. So for the women that are listening it and they're like, wait, hold on. Okay, tell me step by step, or how can I be aware? Because that's not a muscle, that is a default to me.
Yeah. So it's the feeling first. Wow. It's the physical reaction. And then it's the, what am I feeling about this? And for some people, this is really hard to get to the feeling because they just have been taught to shove the feeling down. And eventually that wall of feelings is going to get so high, it's going to get harder to get up over that wall.
Do they need to name the emotion? Do you think that's helpful?
I do. But if you are familiar with Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, I think that's if you are someone who has a hard time with their feelings, that's a great book for you to read because she's going to give you a lot of nuances of all the different names of feelings, because we can only name 3 emotions in the moment, according to her research, which is happy, sad, and angry. But there are so many nuances. So if you are someone who doesn't have a lot of names for feelings, I think that's a really great starting point. Name the feeling. When's the first time I felt this way? So knowing the origin, thinking about the origin of the feeling and where did this come from? What am I thinking? And what am I making this mean about myself?
Alecia, in the work that we've done with you and the work that I see you do with our Strive members, why is that so important in order to grow something on the outside, right? Why is that so important? Why is that inner work so important? I'll ask you. What about that makes it so critical for our growth. That's a big one.
So it's number one, you're only going to grow to the capacity that you can hold. So if you can't emotionally handle more, your body will looks at emotions as red flags.
And almost create that self-sabotage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Secondly, sometimes I see people create a lot of success on the outside, right? And then when you look behind the scenes, they are burning through team members like wildfire. And so it takes a lot of energy for you as a person that is growing a business and looking to build a support team around you. If you are constantly burning through people and having to retrain and rehire, that's a very expensive and timely process to have to do it all the time. So if you are really aware that your emotions are yours and other people's emotions are theirs, and you're really solid in what your values are, who you are, how you want to show up, what you want to create, then it's a lot easier for you to support other people around you. But if you're just managing people, which is what a lot of people confuse it with, like I have to manage everyone. I am responsible for their happiness. I am responsible for everything, and not holding other people responsible because you're worried about what they'll think of you, then you burn through people. And that's one of the things that's the most heartbreaking for me to see, because we're talking about human lives. And I think we rise together. And that's your responsibility, is to do the work to be a better human so you can help other people be the best that they can be.
I think from the past, I believe 5 years, as Liz and I have been building the real estate investor community, I usually say we ate dirt when it comes down to building teams, right? In the sense of we had to grow as leaders the same time that we were scaling our business. And there were some points that we were like, wow, how I didn't see that. Or, well, clearly I didn't give the right expectations. So how this person would give what I am asking to do. Or, geez, this person why did I hire this person to be on this seat? It's not a match at all for that person, and neither for the company. It's like a loss, not a win-win to anybody. So throughout this journey, I think that what we were looking at, that work that I want to share with everybody that is listening, it's exactly what Alecia is talking since the beginning, right? We look at the stuff that did not work. And then we look internally and say, okay, me as a leader, what part I take responsibility for? What did I learn from this situation that happened, and what can we implement moving forward? And then from a leadership team, okay, we are shaking hands on this is what it is. And we are going to adapt as we go along based on our needs, based on the culture. What is our culture? What do we stand for truly? What do we no longer tolerate? How can we hold people accountable? I am not interested in babysitting anybody. I have one son only, right? So I have no interest in babysitting people. So how can we implement the vision? And it's been a great journey. And for all of you right now, they're like, I'm so frustrated. I want to just fire everybody and just go to, sell coconuts at the beach. I've been there. But I think that there is a lot of hope when you really step into not being the one that is going to resolve everything. I shared something with Tessa. Tessa is our head of operations. I shared something with her because she is managing a team right now. And I said, is this quick thing called 1-3-1. So when everybody comes to you to talk about something, one challenge that you're going to be focusing on. And then you're going to ask them to provide 3 possible solutions. And then the third thing, which is the number 1, is like, what are out of the 3 solutions they're going to recommend, right? And then you're out of the picture. and stop being the thinker. And I think that my question to you, Alecia, is that another misconception about leadership is that they believe that they need to be the smartest one, the ones that know all the answers, and how am I going to be able to lead that person without, I don't know how to build systems and processes and CRMs. How am I going to lead that person? So how can we overcome those limiting beliefs?
So number one, the people at the top, right? They're not the smartest people in the room. But sometimes I think of it this way. Sometimes you lead from the front, sometimes you lead from the side, and sometimes you lead from behind. And so more than anything, a leader believes in their team, believes they are doing their best. I love what you said about what's working and what's not working. When we look at what's not working, how do we close the gap? And instead of making it someone like, I love getting rid of shame, blame, and fault and guilt and all of those things, because it's really about what do we not know yet that's going to close this gap. So creating a space for people to be able to figure it out and grow, and you having control of of your emotions to a place where they're not afraid to make mistakes is going to make such a supportive environment for people to thrive. So I think it's really knowing yourself enough to know, like, you don't have to know everything. Like looking for those conversations. I think sometimes people have that perfectionism, the imposter syndrome, all the things that they do to cover up that they don't know. And you don't have to know. Nobody knows everything. You just have to know who to ask. You just have to know how to see the gifts in other people and to be so secure in yourself that it's okay if somebody else is smart too.
I love that, Alecia. And I think what's coming up for me that I want to make a point of for everyone listening is everything we've been talking about around mindset shift and who we are as a leader and how we're showing up. You've been very, very intentional with the language that the women are saying to themselves. Not yet. You've said a few times, not yet. And I just want to reiterate, as an action item or just something that to be mindful of as you take from this episode is start watching what you're saying. It's really simple. It's really simple. It's amazing what we say to the world happens. Right, wrong, good, bad. So I love that you're not yet is going to be something I start doing more, incorporating into my language. Alecia, this has been great. And we appreciate you so much. Being a leader in our community, being a leader for our Strive members. They're so lucky to have you every month coaching them. So where can the ladies listening learn more about you?
So my company is called The Conscious Edge. You can go to my website, consciousedge.com, and you can learn more about what we do in our coaching. I do some support coaching in Strive, and then anybody who's looking to do deep inner work, like the real heavy lifting, we do that over in the Conscious Edge.
Awesome. All this information you guys can find on our show notes. Now we're going to transition to our fabulous 3 questions. And the first one, Alecia, is what's the most powerful book you ever read?
The Go-Giver by Bob Burg. It's the red one, and it's just a great way to live. I read it continuously and practice.
Did you guys hear that? Read and practice. That's the practice is what it is all about, right? Second question, what is the most transformational routine that you do to live a financially free and balanced life, whatever balance means to you?
Prioritizing sleep. I'm not always great at it. It's not something that comes natural to me. So I am always tending to my sleep and asking myself the question every night when I feel like I want to keep going. Can this be done tomorrow morning? So I think that's huge, because when we are well rested, it's so much easier to manage your mind.
Last question. Which woman, famous or not, has inspired you the most?
That is so tough. I do have to say my mom. I would not be where I am today without my mom. And I have learned so much from her and learned about myself in processing our relationship. And So definitely my mom.
Alecia, thank you so much for being you, sharing your wisdom and being on today's show. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.